Hello all. Today we're diving into a crucial issue, the fading authenticity of Mexican cuisine. As sociologists, we've observed how ethnocentrism in advertising has distorted genuine traditions, misleading consumers. Our focus in this presentation will be to unveil the disconnect between what's advertised as Mexican and what truly represents its rich culinary heritage. We aim to provide you with insights from history, sociology, and meticulous research, fostering a deeper appreciation for authentic Mexican food. This isn't just about knowledge, it's a call to action. By supporting genuine small businesses, we can preserve and celebrate this cultural legacy. Join us on this journey to rediscover the essence of Mexican cuisine and champion its authenticity.
Disclaimer: this video is an assignment for Sociology class, Introductory Sociology at San Diego State University. The purpose of the assignment is to help inform us on key issues related to sociology of food. The positions being advocated may not necessarily reflect the opinions of the students developing this video.
Hi, my name is Mariana Micael Lopez, and I will be informing you about the history of Mexican food in the United States and how it correlates to sociology. This history is a multifaceted narrative shaped by historical, cultural, and social dynamics. With roots dating back to the Mexican-American War, the migration of Mexican communities played a crucial role. This case is complex due to the mobility of borders, the continued interaction between the United States and Mexico, and the influences of diverse towns in its creation and development. Divisions such as Tex-Mex and Cal-Mex cause doubts when it comes to labeling. The year 1821 can be considered the beginning of the relationship between Mexico and the southern United States. Texas, which once belonged to Mexico, became the 28th state of the United States in 1845. The emergence of Tex-Mex cuisine, for example, represents a blending of Mexican and American culinary elements. This map here highlights just some hallmark regional dishes that make up the United States of Mexican food. This adaptation speaks to processes of cultural exchange and negotiation in a multicultural society. Within the United States, there was a Mexican population which created a cuisine based on its origin, with the ingredients to which they had access to. The early to mid-20th century saw a significant influx of Mexican immigrants, especially for agricultural labor. The intersection of labor migration and cuisine reflects the socioeconomic aspects of this community, as food often becomes a marker of cultural identity in a new environment. An article published by Eater Los Angeles states, "The adoption of a false Spanish narrative allowed Mexicans to make a living in a city often otherwise hostile to them." This image here is an early menu of the restaurant El Cholo, which demonstrates how racism forced Mexican restaurants in LA to call themselves Spanish. Mexican food underwent adaptation and fusion with local ingredients and tastes. This image provided by the Taco Bell Corporation shows an early menu where we can see that it compromised dishes like easy-to-make tacos that were fashioned by the tastes, desires, and whims of the white consumer. This accessible interpretation of Mexican food continues to leave a lasting imprint on the American food landscape. So to conclude this small history lesson, sociologically, Mexican food in the United States is a lens through which to examine cultural assimilation. Analyzing this history provides insights into migration, cultural assimilation, representation, and the reconstruction of social meaning around food. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Haven, and in my slides I will be discussing how our topic relates to the sociological imagination, as well as the ways in which Mexican food is Americanized in order to appeal to and gain profit from American consumers. Through Americanization, defined as the action of making a person or thing American in character or nationality, the roots of Mexican dishes have become lost in translation. Consumers are increasingly less concerned with where their food actually comes from and what authentic representations of Mexican food actually look like. Authentic or not, Mexican cuisine is, and has been for a long time, a huge part of American culture. Pictured on the right are examples of different Mexican dishes that have been popularized throughout the U.S. According to Brizo Food Metrics, as of December 2020, restaurants in operation that provide a Mexican menu represent 11% of all restaurants in the United States. This makes Mexican food the second most popular food overall. However, roughly 25% of those restaurants are considered fast food. The fast food industry has long dominated American food culture, and Mexican restaurants are no exception. In a society full of consumer-based advertising and marketing strategies, it is much easier for Mexican food establishments to draw in customers by using tactics that are appealing to Americans, as opposed to advertising authenticity. In recent years, people have become too busy with their day-to-day lives, and they simply do not care where their food comes from, nor are they expected to. So long as it's prepared quickly and it appeals to their American taste buds, people will eat it without giving a second thought to where and how the food was prepared and how it should actually taste. Unfortunately for small business owners of authentic Mexican restaurants, this means less recognition and revenue due to the fact that Americans tend to choose the faster and easier option. This has also led many Mexican business owners to alter their dishes in ways so that they become more appealing to their American consumers and therefore inauthentic. The sociological imagination, defined by Dalton Conley, is the ability to see the connections between our personal experience and the larger forces of history. By enabling our sociological imaginations, we can allow ourselves to see connections between our own personal history and that of the food we are consuming. By taking a more mindful approach to the consumption and origins of Mexican food, we can bring awareness to others and encourage people to opt for more authentic Mexican food choices provided by small businesses. This would not only yield benefits to these businesses, but it would also ensure that the Mexican dishes being consumed are real and come from true Mexican origins.
Good afternoon. In my slides, I will be focusing on these main points: the research questions we administered as a survey, analyzing this research, and correlating it to our main proposal. The main issue we found critical throughout our research is the lack of acknowledgement consumers have when it comes to food, specifically Mexican food. Living so close to the border, I have found that vendors will gravitate to the taste that consumers correlate to Mexican food. In order to get the most accurate information and data, as a group, we decided to conduct a survey to prove the acknowledgement that has lacked heavily within consumers. When we dissected sociological imagination in class, we were able to find that many consumers continued through their lives without wanting to know where things originate from. As Mariana Lopez went into the history, we are able to see the gap of understanding between authenticity and convenience. In the data below, you will see that the demographic seen the most was Southern and Northern California. The most preferred Mexican restaurant selected by the survey takers was Tacos El Gordo and Lolitas. In the next slide, you will see the most common dishes that came to mind were street tacos and birria tacos. These consumers also found themselves going to these restaurants one time a week. They were actually likely to choose fast Mexican food over eating at a small business. The selections I gave within the restaurant selection were Taco Bell, Chipotle, Lolitas, Tacos El Gordo, and Cuatro Milpas, and Fernandez Birria. I limited to this selection despite others because I wanted to point out the pattern that is commonly seen within selecting fast food restaurants versus small business owners. The lowest selected restaurant was selected by 8.7% of consumers, which was the small business owned Cuatro Milpas. Cuatro Milpas is a business who does not focus on advertisement of their own restaurant, but authentic dishes in which I grew up having as a kid. And consumers also found that Mexican food to be considered as tacos el gordo and street tacos when thinking of a Mexican dish. Now, given as a child that I grew up primarily having dishes at home, I wasn't likely to go have a small business oftentimes because we could not afford a small business. But it just shows the correlation between fast food over small business is likely to be a far discrepancy because the food is less authentic at these fast food restaurants and are gravitated towards the taste of consumers.
Hello, my name is Karime, and in my slides, I will be trying to accomplish and introduce our study to our target people and make them knowledgeable of what it actually is Mexican food. Since Mexican food has been losing its authenticity in the United States, it all has been changed and typical dishes were not considered Mexican food in America. Like many chain restaurants, like Taco Bell, Chipotle, Del Taco, or taco shops, etc., are actually not considered typical dishes in Mexico. So, what actually many people consider Mexican food is not actually Mexican food. So, actually, the popularity of all these dishes and Mexican ingredients push Mexican cuisine into fast food with the founding of Taco Bell and the archetype of the Tex-Mex cantina. Despite popularity, and mother split has emerged in Mexican cuisine. It is visible in how eateries such as Chipotle utilize Mexican ingredients but American service, while Mexican migrants claim their own space and identity through food. Looking at the example just in what Americans consider a tortilla is not what Mexicans consider a really homemade tortilla that is actually pretty delicious. Like I have a picture of mole. This one is mole that is a typical Mexican dish, and it's really delicious. In Mexican, they consider like having foods of different type of colors, like mole here it's brown, and mole can also be green, like for pozole, that this one at the bottom, it's pozole. That one can be red, can be green, and can be white. That are pretty delicious, typical dishes in Mexico. So while in the United States, people are considering burritos or one of the typical Mexican foods, while in Mexico, a burrito is not actually the typical dishes that a Mexican will consider an authentic food for them. Like here I have what in the United States they consider Mexican food. So based on this claim, restaurants such as this provide people with access to cultural food that might otherwise not exist in these areas, but are still essentially an Americanization of Mexican food. Like we see here, like Taco Bell and Burrito, like California, the Burrito California, are not actually considered in Mexico like the typical dishes of Mexico. So there are like Americanization, and even so, this popularization has even contributed to the expansion of agricultural industries like cilantro. Cilantro is a Spanish word that refers to the leaves of the coordinator plant and is present in many famous Mexican dishes like ceviche, chicken tacos, guacamole, tacos de birria are just a few popular dishes to utilize these ingredients. It is really important that the actual Mexican food and their culture is not lost in the process in other countries, since considering other foods as being the typical foods in Mexico is not a good idea, since the authenticity of what it actually is Mexican food has been getting lost, and the new generations are going to be thinking that Mexican food is actually something that Americans have created. Honestly, learning about the culture and the typical dishes from Mexico is super important and something that everyone will like, since everything is very delicious, the way everything is more than nothing handmade, and their flavors are so delicious. Also, each country has their unique dishes and their speciality. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josue, and today we're delving into the rich tapestry of traditional Mexican restaurants and exploring the exciting changes and possibilities that define their future. These restaurants, steeped in authenticity, are undergoing a remarkable transformation by embracing modern culinary trends while remaining steadfast in preserving the flavors that define Mexico's culinary heritage. When it comes to the topic of blending tradition with innovation, restaurants like Barrio Dogs and Barrio Logan exemplify this evolution. They are pioneers in merging traditional flavors with modern culinary techniques. By emphasizing the presentation of dishes like tangy nopalitos enhanced with lime, calabacitas made with tomatoes, fideo soup or corn, they manage to preserve the authenticity of the dish while introducing a modern visual twist. This harmonious blend of tradition and innovation is a hallmark of their success. Sustainability in practice is another means by which small Mexican restaurant businesses have progressed with the times while maintaining authenticity in their dishes. Moreover, a crucial aspect shaping the future of these restaurants is sustainability. Barrio Dogs and others are leading the way by reimagining their packaging. Instead of plastic containers, they use eco-friendly, paper-based packaging, making a commitment to reduce plastic waste and promote environmentally conscious practices. Lastly, it is important that small businesses engage with their respective communities to sustain their business. Supporting these restaurants involves more than just patronage. It's about community engagement. Chambers of Commerce play a pivotal role in providing exposure and community networking opportunities for these traditional Mexican restaurants. They host events, fostering a stronger bond with the community, which in turn sustains the restaurants. In conclusion, the future of traditional Mexican restaurants is an exciting tapestry of innovation, sustainability, and community involvement. By embracing modern culinary trends while preserving the authenticity of Mexican flavors, these restaurants are not only evolving but thriving in a dynamic market. It's a testament to their adaptability, their commitment to sustainability, and the support they garner through community engagement. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the promising futures of these culinary treasures. Let's continue to support and celebrate the diverse and delicious world of traditional Mexican cuisine.